You're listening to The Barbell Life. On today's episode, we had the chance to sit down and talk in person with our good friend, Matt Vincent. Now, we've had him on before to talk about his success in the Highland Games, but this time, we're going to talk about his success in business and in social media. And we're going to talk about what you can take away and apply to whatever area of life it is that you want to crush. And look, if it's PRs that you want to crush, you have to check out the book that Travis is famous for. It's called Squat Every Day. And yes, that's what it's about. Squatting every single day. This is Travis's guide to high-frequency training, not only for the squat, but also for benching and all other movements. There's a program in there for powerlifting, weightlifting, super total, bodybuilding. This book has led to more PRs than probably any other book that we've put out, maybe every single other book we put out combined. So if you want to get strong, it is absolutely undeniable. High-frequency works. Squatting every day works. You can check out Squat Every Day at www.mashelite.com/squat every day. And then there are 2 additional levels of volume for you to try out to really dial in which variation works for you. You can pick up those programs with their varying volumes and intensities. That's volume 2 of Squat Every Day, and that's found at www.mashelite.com/squat every day 2. So mashelite.com/squat every day and mashelite.com/squat every day 2. And now I'm Lauren Pinellas, joined by Chris Ox Mason and Travis Mash as we talk with Matt Vincent.
All right, today, guys, we have a special guest. As you can see him for once, because normally we're all audio, but Lauren and I are trying to do more and more, in person on the video, so you can see us interact.
The future.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean,
it's a lot easier.
Matt Vincent, I guess I'm introducing him now, is so good looking. I would hate to not have him on video.
That's the first time I've ever heard that, so at least I can chalk that off the list.
Yeah. And today we have Chris Ox Mason. He's been on the show before, but hopefully he'll be on more and more. We're at our new gym.
At our gym, yeah.
Lean Fitness. We're partners. You guys have hopefully seen it already, but anyway, this is not a plug for Lean, but please come and join.
Please come join.
Yeah. And if you're like 5 hours away, just commute.
Yeah, just commute, man.
Or just remote join for $5 a month. Just mail it in.
That's right.
That's a good point. You actually don't have to come here and work out.
You don't even have to come.
We'll just
half the battle's having a gym membership
Fitness
is what I
plan.
hear.
Yeah.
Just give us $10 a month and never come.
Forever.
Oh, man. This right there.
So
it's a beautiful business model.
Today we're going to talk a little, our conversation today is going to be a little different than you're used to. We talk programming and
lifting,
strength conditioning, all this stuff. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the industry and how it's shifting and how you should either shift or get them out, probably. Yeah. I mean, Matt?
Yeah. Are we not cursing? Because I need
talk
to know
about
that
business.
up front.
Yeah, we try to make it
all
family friendly for iTunes.
But
give her hell.
If you do, we'll edit it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Good. Just lots of beeps and whistles.
Yeah, we've talked to enough people that swear really a lot.
I mean, Evan's been on the show.
Oh, good.
So you're fine. You're fine.
Like an hour podcast turns into like 20 minutes.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just need forewarning up front. I can switch gears.
No, Lauren's gotten good with the edit buttons.
A lot of
With
experience.
the
But
the dump button.
Yeah.
But talking today about business, I mean, we talk a lot about actually training and this.
Business, the industry, how it shifted. Matt was a 2-time world champion in Highland Games.
He's been on the podcast before, so go check it out online. And actually, Matt, let's kick it off. What would you say is the changes the industry have gone through? Are they like a top 2, top 3?
I mean, you got to figure if I'm going to look back at, say, like the last, 10 years, right? And so we go 2007. I'm just starting to get into the Highland Games. I did my first game like November of 2008. So I'm still doing powerlifting and doing strongman at that time. So I'm getting most of my information from like articles and things like that, right? Like the YouTube thing really hasn't become what it currently is.
No, it was just kind of a fledgling at the time.
Right. And so where that's changed now is the social media thing has come on board. And not only has the social media come on board, like even fitness celebrity idea, right? These people that we all looked up to for information, whether that's Wendler or, you know, these other guys that were writing articles that were putting out good information that spoke to the audience. Everyone has a voice now.
Right.
There's so many people. But with that, the cream still rises.
Yeah.
But everyone, for the most part, there's a few outliers that can still pull it off. Like, it's a multifaceted approach. Like, you don't get to just be on a podcast. Like, you have to have the Instagram backup. You've got to have the YouTube backup, and you've got to be able to have all those things be, you know, synergistic and work together toward whatever goal you're trying to accomplish.
Totally.
And sitting there yelling with your hands in the air of like, this has changed and my business was working, like, that's your problem, man, because it's not going back.
You got to change or it'll die.
Right. It's like, I mean, are we mad like that our pager store isn't working anymore?
I mean, you know, you're so right. And like lately, you know, we're not going to name names, but like I even have a lot of friends who seems like lately on Facebook every day they're complaining about, you know, things are changing. Like, you know, these people are becoming stars on Instagram.
And they've never even lifted.
They've never lifted. Right. You know, they can't even bench 500 pounds.
Right.
But
well, you're missing the point.
You're missing the point. You know, they're getting out there and they're hustling and they are teaching other people about the barbell. Like you and I both agree, whether we like them or not, if someone teaches someone about the barbell, I'm going to give them a high five and say thank you.
That's right. That's right. That's
the
goal.
I believe that a stronger life's a better one.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so anyone that's empowering other people to get off their ass and lift a barbell, I'm on board.
Me too.
Now, this may not be the ultimate direction and the correct idea or whatever it is, but if you getting the barbell in your hand is the gateway drug that leads you to find out better information and then find out other stuff, awesome.
Right.
And also, my voice and my idea of strength may not be yours. That's also cool.
Right.
That's why there's whatever $1 billion in this industry. It's not all pouring into one person.
No.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Or one sport.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
one type of barbell movement.
Yeah.
Or
And-
one federation.
And I'll be here. I'll be really controversial, right? Because we were dissing on Planet Fitness earlier,
Right.
And I know a lot of people hate them,
Right.
Because I mean, I've heard I've never been there, but I've heard the rules like you can't lift more than 225 or something
Right,
like that.
right.
But the reality is they may be getting a lot of people into fitness.
That's true.
That never did.
That's
so
true.
I mean, like, you know. Everyone might be playing a role in getting
right.
people in. And,
Boy,
and if you zoom really out,
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It makes me mad that you made a point like that too.
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to hate them
I
so
really don't
much.
like
I mean, but see, the thing is, they're not for you.
Yeah, I know.
But they
Right.
may be
But-
for that 55-year-old obese woman who's never worked out in her
Right.
life, and like more power to them for that.
And
you know
like
what I
Matt,
mean?
and like Matt said, if Planet Fitness is the gateway drug that gets them
Right.
started, and then they feel comfortable enough to come
Yeah.
to a place like this,
Yeah.
or you know they go from there and then they go maybe to the Y,
Yeah, if they want to,
and then come, you know what I mean?
If they want to
It's
go
stepping
to
stones.
Planet Fitness and then join Lean Fitness in Louisville, North Carolina. I mean, they
Yes.
can.
That's right.
That would
That's
be
right.
great.
That's right. I mean, because I've never been to Planet Fitness. They're not for me. I am the type that like I would be like, what is a lunk alarm? That's stupid. But guess
Right.
what? That's me. Like it is really arrogant
Yeah,
for
but
me
you're
to
on
say
the inside.
that everyone needs to be like me and like what I like and think the way I think.
You know, I would really like to have. This is terrible. This is flipping the script. I would love to have an alarm that if you're a sissy, it goes off.
If you're if you're too quiet,
What's the opposite of a lunk? A
But-
sissy? A sissy
A
alarm?
puss alarm? I mean, can I say that? Is that cussing?
I don't think that
Sissy
works.
alarm?
It's got a gender bias, doesn't it?
yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it is. Dang
Yeah,
it,
see.
dang it, Matt.
There you go, Trav.
Sorry, it's
Yeah.
Good job, Trav.
It's like
The
like a whining alarm, which sounds so lame.
that is.
It's equally as lame as lunk alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I look at the Planet Fitness thing, right? And using an analogy I use a lot is the Nickelback thing, or Kardashians, or any of these other type
Wow,
of
we're
things that I
we're
just
going
don't
all out
understand.
today.
Wow.
And the idea of it is like, I'm not mad at Nickelback for selling millions and millions of albums and making a lot of money.
No.
I'm mad there's a market for bad music.
I'm mad I didn't think of it first.
You know what I mean?
Me
Like,
too. Me too.
you know, if that's your goal to make all the money in the industry, then I mean, this isn't what you guys should be doing.
No.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Probably own
Let's
Planet
start
Fitness.
opening up Planet Fitness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we'll just bank on the fact that 80% of our clientele who's paying memberships will never
not
come in
going
the
to
gym.
come. Yep,
And
they're gonna-
then it'd be tough to live with ourselves. So.
Right, because
I
it's
couldn't
$10 a
deal with
month.
that.
It's $10 a month, and it's just easier to never cancel it and say I quit.
And it makes you feel good to have that little Planet Fitness key card on your wallet.
You know, I go when I can.
And people see it, and they think, oh, hey, this guy works out. So it pumps your ego up just for the point that you have that.
No, but that's why we live in a place that we can all make those decisions.
That's true. I mean, we're adults and we can do our own thing.
So it sounds like some of the changes, to get back to what you're saying originally, some of the changes have come from almost the marketing aspect of it, where you've got to be in Instagram, you've got to be in Facebook, you've got to be on YouTube, you've got to be on all of the ways that technology has changed, and the way that people use technology has changed. I mean, that is, we talk about industries, that's worldwide, that's every industry. I mean, technology is changing so much. Think of the music industry, which you just mentioned. I mean, my goodness, I remember, I'm dating myself, I remember when CDs came out. I remember going to the store and buying a CD.
Like, whoa.
And it was like, what is this? I had cassette tapes, right? And now look how everything's changed. Now people are like, what's a CD?
I know when it evolved from like the 8 tracks to the CDs to the now to
So other than simply just using those forms of media, how does the industry need to change? How do we as people in the industry need to change?
I think it's just trying to stay up with what's working, right? Like if let's say the business that you want to run, you're going to be a retailer, of things. If at some point this
apparel,
worked,
hate brand,
like hate brand,
or and let's if I'm going to be a retailer of hate brand goods, right? And what I see happening is that, oh man, people aren't wearing baggy sweatpants anymore. They've now wearing joggers. I don't get to keep selling baggy sweatpants and be mad that but everyone was buying these a year ago.
They're not now.
Tough.
Yeah.
Make the move.
Yeah.
Or don't.
And go out of business.
That's your call.
And that's on you.
Right.
I mean,
but the industry and the market doesn't owe you anything.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. I mean, I think a lot of people think they're owed something, more or less.
Yeah, and like people that are like I've seen. There's another guy, not gonna name names. I mean, he used to win. He's won some championships back in the day, and like around the same time that I was winning. I can't bank on that. I can't be mad that there's this, people out there now who haven't necessarily won anything. Who people are going to. Good for them. They're hustling. So now the world champion is looking to the dude who hasn't won. Say, what are you doing? So let me do what you're doing, and then I can use my credibility. But don't just get mad.
Right.
No one owes you anything because you won a world championship in 2008. I mean, who cares?
Nobody cares anymore.
But I think that's very, very valid, and I think I'm kind of in a new boat, the same that you were, right?
Yeah.
Like most people that are following you now and involved and behind your programming, the things you do, they don't care that you powerlifted. None of that matters.
Yeah,
most of them don't even know.
It's funny. It's true.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter.
I'm just a weightlifting coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the same for me with the Highland Games thing. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm really glad I did it, and I love it, and it's opened a lot of doors being a world champion, right?
Right.
But can you imagine if 2 years since I've thrown that every time I was trying to do a podcast or come in to talk to someone was talk about what I did 2 years ago?
It would
Yuck.
And it would just fade away.
Right. Because there's nothing new there. There's no growth. There's no experience. There's no change that should be coming from these lessons and perspectives we gained from training.
Right. Then you're Mike Tyson trying to keep boxing. I mean, let it go.
Right.
And what amazes me with people in the industry that are lifers, that have lifted forever, and that don't seem to grasp the change of things is, like, these are all things the gym taught you.
Right.
Like, it doesn't owe you anything. The weights don't care.
No.
They're indifferent to your success.
Nope.
And
gravity didn't change.
And not only that, like, it's going to be plateaus, and you've got to be able to say, well, my knee's bugged out, so how do I continue training to make some progress while this heals? How do I sidestep this goal to keep making some progress? And maybe it's a step back and then 2 steps forward.
Right.
But that's the adjusting, and you learn all that in the gym.
Right.
Why can't you just apply those same simple rules of work to your life, to the business you want to run, or your employer, or your relationships? That you can't fake it. Right. And that's the beauty of strength, and that's the beauty of your total. Look, we're not all born on the same page. A guy like Kaylor Woolham, who's pulling 925 at 210, this guy's got a different set of tools than I showed up for.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But I'll outthrow him.
Yeah.
I'll outthrow him hurt.
Right.
Right? And so we got different tools, and we both have managed to play to our strengths.
Right.
Me being mad that he started at a different point than me is irrelevant. That's his path. But what he didn't start at was 925.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He made progress.
Right.
And that's something anyone can do. And that should be something you should do with your business. At some point, adapt. That the bench isn't working for me the way it was when I started. Well, maybe I should try something else.
I totally agree. I know, in powerlifting, I did the same. My bench used to suck. Like, everyone used to beat me. And I had to adapt and learn. And, like we say a bunch, I broke a world record for 5 minutes because I adapted and kept looking and kept looking. But, here's another point to the business thing, and I want to get your take on that. Would you agree, not every, you have all these different platforms. You have YouTube, you have, you could do a blog, Instagram.
Which we all started with a blog at some point.
Yeah, and some people continue to do very well even with the blog. I mean, Greg Knuckles is blown up. He doesn't do much, YouTube or
but he's got his name in enough people's ears and mouths. I mean, you got a guy like Omar Isuf who talks about Greg Knuckles, and they do work together and stuff like that. And that guy's got a huge following,
right?
Yeah,
which helps lend some big credibility to
like
Omar.
Yeah,
right?
He's just mainly YouTube.
He's
so.
He is a
YouTuber doing
YouTuber.
his thing. Yeah.
Right. So, do you think that you have to you have some presence on YouTube, or should you choose what you're the best at? Even though it's the blog thing is kind of a older way of doing it, but like Greg, who's really really good at it, should he flip the script and go away from it and then go all into YouTube?
I think at some point you're going to hit a critical mass of doing the thing you're doing.
Right.
And essentially with social media, we've got video, we've got writing, we've got audio, and let's just call those our big three options and ways to reach people.
Right.
Why would you not use all three?
Yeah, I mean, we
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy.
Right.
And it is a lot of work, and you may need to bring on people to help manage those other two things, but I mean, to act like the other two aren't valuable or couldn't help your business, that's your inability to access them the correct way.
I like that. All right, so now let's talk about audio, visual,
Sure.
video. Let's do specific first. Let's go YouTube, Instagram. What is the difference? Both are videos. What are you trying to get out of each?
I think they vary a lot, right? What I look at it is YouTube. I have a variety of things I can do on YouTube, from some inspirational type stuff videos to coaching to how-to instructional.
Right.
I think I can do lifestyle stuff. Like, what I mostly do is a vlog. I kind of do a day in the life of what my life is, and then I try to tie it together with lessons learned and things like that, what I take from it. More of a daily journal type thing. And then, writing, you can really dive into a specific thing.
Right.
Like you could write a 10-page article on the hook grip and why it works and why it's important.
Right.
Instagram is
A snippet.
immediate, dopamine drip, serotonin. Like, that is, look at this, pretty shiny things.
Right.
And then, and then even the Instagram story is its own different thing now, because it's a very informal way.
Right.
And the big difference is none of the knowledge, right, that we have is so unique that it can't be found somewhere else.
Right.
True.
Right? I mean, people are still lifting straight bars with weight on it, right?
Right.
That still works? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the difference is Travis and your life experience and what gets it there. And that's where YouTube and the people that are successful on YouTube really shine. You've got some coaches that can pull off how-tos, and that's awesome, but it's personality driven.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the stuff people are chasing. No one's trying to follow the encyclopedia before. People are looking for people to look up to that live a way.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I see the difference is, audio and stuff like that. I think you can dive deeper into personality with people and actually have conversations. Maybe that person's not as keyed on as he is when he turns on the camera.
Right.
I mean, we've all dealt with people that you talk to, and then all of a sudden you turn the camera or put them in front of a microphone, and you're like, who is that?
Oh, yeah.
That is not the person I have spoke to for the last hour.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to coach one, John North. Yeah. It was like, he was normal, cameras on, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's just ways to differentiate yourself. I mean, when you're talking about YouTube, right? Some people, they're like, take a Greg Knuckles, right? Like, no one's like, Greg is entertaining, he's humorous. That's not what you think about. I mean, maybe he is, right? He's a nice guy. But when you think about him, you think about the knowledge. Right? And there's other guys out there you think about, like, they may not bring any particular technical knowledge, but darn if their videos aren't entertaining.
Right.
And I like watching them. I mean, everyone's got their way of differentiating. Someone like we were talking about, Zach Evanesh, right? We were talking about him the other day. That dude will pump you up.
Yeah.
Right. So like, his differentiation is he's going to bring that level of passion.
Right.
He'll inspire you. You don't watch his video and walk away like unchanged. You want to go like out, like, lift some stones and like, do some pull-ups or something.
And do
like
better
that.
at life.
So
with a guy like Zach, it's not the X's and
differentiate.
O's.
Yeah.
Zach doesn't need to talk to you about, and that's how I feel about things. Like, man, I am not the guy to try to sell you on why 5 sets of 3 are important. Just go lift a barbell. And I've said it from day one on stuff that my simple message for people is like, I want to get strong. What do you recommend? Any program that puts you in the gym 4 or 5 days a week that you're going to bench, squat, deadlift, and overhead of some way, moderately heavy for the next decade. You'll be fine.
We'll make you stronger.
Yeah. You'll win.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
with the YouTube stuff, the best part about the kind of world we're in right now, it's still very much the Wild West, because I don't need to get Muscle and Fitness to give to care about what I'm doing for me to get an article out. I can put it out, man.
Yeah.
I don't need your help.
Right.
I want to do a podcast. I got a phone. I can just hit record and record a podcast and put it on iTunes.
Right now.
Find an audience and let that audience find you. And that may be a small audience, and that's okay.
Could be great, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier if you can manage to just be you. And that's where things and stuff get weird, is when it becomes disingenuine.
Right.
And people fall for that too, and that's fine. Look, it's going to take – people have been into pop stars forever. None of that's going to change. It's going to be the same in the fitness industry. 10 and 12-year-old boys and girls need Justin Bieber's. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's never going to go away. It was the same for the Beatles.
Right.
Being mad that that's a thing is also just as stupid as being mad that your business isn't succeeding anymore when you're selling, home telephone systems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is gone.
So let me ask you this. Like, say you are that coach out there, maybe that gym owner, and you're not at the level of success that you want to have. Maybe you want to start an apparel brand. And, like, okay, they're listening and they're buying into what you're saying. I want to be me. I want to be genuine. But, like, I'm not to where I want to be. I don't have all the time in the world to have these nice YouTube videos. I don't have the technology. I don't have the money. Like, what do they do? What do they do to make that next step? What would your advice be to them?
The thing is, when you say, like, make that nice content, right, make that YouTube video, that thing, at the end of the day, like, expensive cameras and nice editing, or the highest quality audio with setting up with all the expensive equipment, that's still second to content. Content will still win. There are plenty of YouTube channels that are a hell of a lot bigger than mine that if someone is just using their cell phone.
Yeah.
And everyone's got that in their pocket. There is no longer an excuse to not reach out to people if that's what you want to do. But for you to think that people should find you and just come to you,
That's arrogant.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? This is why I don't sit on my ass in Louisiana and wait for the industry to come hang out with the world champion from the Highland Games.
Yeah.
He's
I
pretty
hit the
cool,
road.
though. You should, but yeah.
Right.
I hit the road. I travel because this is what fuels me too.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing my thing. I want to go. I want to meet. I want to experience.
Brandon Lilly is a good example of that. Like, he doesn't do anything fancy, and he'll just film himself.
Yeah.
It appears to be on his cell phone.
Yeah, right.
Most
It
of the time,
is.
he's driving down the road and he's talking, and he's who he is. He's the same guy tomorrow as he was today. He's telling you some lessons, and you'll watch him adapt in life. It's been pretty cool to see him go from meathead powerlifter to he's advancing.
He's
in
made
life.
a lot of shifts in life, man.
Yeah.
And he's someone who I've recently been in more and more contact with, and I'm excited about the path he's on and what he's doing.
Yeah, me too.
But that's exactly right. But where people that mess things up, is that someone who doesn't have the credibility in a thing wants to show up day one and have 20 years of success.
Yeah.
Well, this guy started an apparel company, and and it's doing great. Like, it just boomed overnight. Like, I've been lifting for 20 years, man.
Yes.
Right.
You know, I've been building knowledge, and that came with 2 world championships and competing for 10 years and having elite totals in both raw and geared powerlifting, qualifying for nationals in weightlifting. You know,
breaking my knees in the process.
Yeah, 7 surgeries and changing my life, and now losing 60 pounds.
Yeah.
I've never stopped moving.
So don't tell me about overnight
and,
success.
Right. Yeah. And then that other side, what you mentioned, right, that don't have the level of success they want. Mm-hmm. Real quick thing is no one does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a person who's ever reached a spot and you're like, "Whoo, this is it, feet up, we made it," you're already wrong,
and you're already going backwards.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you know it, and you guys know it. Like, it's all journey, man. There's no there.
Yeah.
It's just journey and growth and progress. And how do I grow as a person? How do I make better decisions? How do I perform better? How do I learn to handle situations and stress better? Right. And if I can share those things, you know, for me, that's kind of what it's been about. Like, I've been very, very fortunate. When I started traveling and trying to hang out with people, there wasn't the big YouTube stuff like that. Like, you know, I got to have one-on-one conversations with the guys that I looked up to because I hit the road and went to them.
Yeah, me too.
Do you know what I mean? It's exactly right.
Yeah,
I didn't sit around waiting, and I didn't want to just read their articles. I wanted to know what made them tick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was much more interested in teaching myself how to fish than someone showing me how to catch them.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys, we'll get back to the podcast with Matt Vincent in just a minute, but really quickly, I wanted to take the time to say thanks. Thank you to all of you who have donated to our nonprofit weightlifting team, and a huge thank you to the sponsors of our nonprofit weightlifting team. We'd like to thank Intech Strength and Hack Nutrition. So if you are in the market for barbells and equipment, go check out Intech. And if you want amazing pre-workout and post-workout supplements, you'll definitely want to take a look at Hack Nutrition. These companies are helping us support our athletes, so look, we'd really love it if you could support these companies. And now, let's go ahead and get back to the podcast.
All right, let's say you want to get into YouTube. I want to get specific now. And,
okay.
Because this is for me right now. And hopefully you guys are going to want to learn too.
Listen,
and I'm not exactly king YouTube. Yeah, I am not great at it.
You're better than me. So like
fair.
Step one. So you do a YouTube video. Say you're us. You're pretty good on Instagram. The blog seems to be your best thing, but you really want to like target YouTube. So you make a video. You try to be real. It's good content. Blah blah blah. Do you just do it, put it on the YouTube, let it sit, or how do you like then market that video? Like,
well, you try to market to your already built-in audiences, right? So, I mean, try to. If you've got a 10-minute video, why not cut out a 30-second highlight clip of that?
Yeah.
That can go to your Instagram and direct people back to your YouTube channel. This is another way for me to reach you.
Right.
And a big part of it that I realize is the YouTube content and the information. It's free.
Right.
Right? And so I'm going to give you information of how you can improve yourself. And it sure seems that the more stuff I want to give away to people, the more they are just happy to hand me their money.
Yeah. No, I've always I agree with that 100%. I did learn that from Dave Tate a long time ago. He told me that the more information that you would give out, give it with the right intention.
People are bought in.
People are bought in
because you invested in them.
Yeah, and they start to like you. They read, they do something, it works. They're like, this guy must know what he's doing. He gave this. I'll give him $30. Oh, this dude's, it's even better. I'll give him $100.
Right.
And so it's a step. So like, do you use any kind of like a lot of people use paid traffic on Facebook? No. You don't do any of that.
None of that.
Just YouTube.
Yep.
So
YouTube or Instagram, and just like anything else, just like the exact same lessons from the gym is, I've been doing YouTube since probably 2009.
Right.
When I started just recording training sessions and barely editing them, to just have the other guys that I was throwing with see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Or even just review myself. Right. And I was just posting them. And that's adapted a ton to the content I'm putting out now. But I've got 1,200 videos on my page that are my content. And I put out 4 or 5 videos a week.
And it's gotten I know like there was
the same as lifting
where it stopped. We started doing drift to lifter. and you got better and better. And like, I started then following you, and like, I don't normally follow my buddies.
Right. No, it's weird.
But like, I followed you because it's like cool. It's like, this is not just like him showing me how to throw, because I don't care. I'm not a thrower. It's just his live, and it's kind of funny. Cooking. Like,
I'm aware that I live a strange, eccentric, interesting life.
It is.
And it's something that I've managed to build and cultivate. But most people, for whatever reasons, whether that's financial or the job or what it is they're doing to survive, don't get to do what I do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I'll share. I'm more than happy for you to get to live vicariously through me.
Right. Yeah.
And I love what I get to do, to get to have these conversations, to be stoked on stuff and want to grow.
Right. I think the coolest thing about you is like I've known you now since, at least 5 years.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And so I've never quite figured you out. And I like that about you. Like you're, like at first meet you, you're like,
wow.
you're a meathead like me. You're this, you're kind of a redneck from Louisiana.
Yep.
No, not at all. Like you are, I don't know who you are. Like, it's so awesome. Every time I meet you, I get a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm so intrigued, and I try to draw out more and more.
The man of mystery.
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure out who you are. Like, what do you really think? Like,
I think I agree, and I know that my compass spins pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I just follow it wherever that next thing that I'm excited about is, right? But I'm also aware that because of that, and it doesn't ever drive me in one straight direction, I'll never get the big following in one direction.
Right, yeah. I'm a lot like that too.
So, like, that's one of those things that I've struggled with as far as deciding to, this year I'm going to start doing some seminar stuff.
Yeah. And
do this type of thing. I just want to communicate and talk about experiences in life and those type of things to grow from. And with that, like, the thing that bugged me out for me personally doing seminars was that I have to say, at some point, I'm an expert. But there's a reason you're showing up to listen to me.
Yeah.
And that I've always been very uncomfortable with.
No, I would definitely show up. Like,
well, it depends on what we're talking about, right? And, but like, it's the same thing with my YouTube. Like, I was never very comfortable saying, like, here's 5 deadlift tips. That content does not, I'm not passionate about it. It doesn't drive me. If I'm going to get 5 deadlift tips, I'll just text Ed Cohn. Do you know what I mean? Like,
or your boy, the other guy that does 925.
Yeah, Kaler, right? You know what I mean? I'll just get tips from them.
Right.
Why wouldn't, if I'm going to do it, let's just get them to make a video. That's better than me talking about it.
Right.
And so I feel like that's a little bit of my role, right, is maybe I can bring other people into the light that I learn from.
Right.
And share information and kind of get to cross paths and do stuff like that with other people that I find very, very smart and, better at things than I am.
It's so funny you say that. I'm noticing, like, since I've been all into the online, area, I notice I'm pretty good at noticing trends, and I'm seeing trends like this where guys like us are like wanting to come together and do things. And
rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah. This guy's full of all the little things. Yeah.
I'm from the South.
Me too.
Right.
So, but like, I'm seeing a lot of shifts. I'm seeing, when the industry was super easy, like 4 years ago, like you say, hey, I'm going to do an online team. It's super easy. And like, then all of a sudden everybody's going to do an online team, which is good, which forces guys like us to get a lot better at what we do. Not only better at the content, the way we deliver it, like, the level of coaching, and, things are changing even more. And like, I think guys like us too run in, we're very similar in the way we think. Like, we get bored, so you want to do something cooler and like different. And so it's funny. Like, I've already started establishing. We're doing like seminars now where I'm bringing in guys like Lane Norton, and we're doing dual stuff.
Yeah,
totally opposite, something totally different. Like, it's the only way I stay intrigued. If like even with weightlifting, I know everyone. I do love weightlifting. I'm a weightlifting coach. But if I just coach weightlifting every day of my life, I will go crazy and like probably ram my head through the wall. It's just like,
of course,
I've got to have other things.
Yeah, that's half the benefit of these podcasts. It's not just us talking. Like, Travis is all back there like taking notes.
Yeah,
like
it's
learning.
it's getting fired up.
Yeah.
That's why I hit the road.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise, I can very, very quickly realize that. I mean, I've got a garage gym.
Yeah.
And I work from home.
Right.
I'll all of a sudden realize, like, oh, I haven't been outside in
I'm still wearing
days.
the same clothes for the last 8 days.
You know what I mean? Like, I've just edited video and
What does
lifted.
the sun look like?
Right.
Now I want to ask a deeper question. We know, I mean, everyone that watches your YouTube knows that a year ago or a little bit over that, like you were fired from your job. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I've talked to you about it, but I'm curious, like when that happened, you know, you had an awesome job.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was very, very comfortable.
Yeah, you're making real good. Plus, you had your online. Everything was going awesome. So, when that happened and like life got a little bit more challenging,
Sure.
did it make you better at this now? Like,
Of course.
How did it change your life when you got fired?
So, for that to be a fair statement, it's worth going back to the idea that I didn't get fired in March and walk in the house and say, I'd like to start an apparel company. I had a job for 5 years that paid me, you know, a six-figure income. I have a company truck that requires not a whole ton of my time to actually do the job well. It's a sales job, right? And I'm not in the office. It's great, and it's what I do. I am a salesman. I know that that's what I am. I'm a communicator and do it well, at least I think so.
I think so.
And so
I would buy from you.
Right, but I'm also not the guy that had this job that's cushy and put my feet up.
Yeah.
I didn't need the stress of starting an apparel company that for 2 years I didn't take a paycheck from. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever's in me that was the drive there to find a thing that stimulated me because that job didn't, I found. I made it.
I totally get it, yeah.
And so now if we look when I got fired and we're 3 years in, and at that point the brand has grown enough naturally and organically that, you know, I was able to do things with the brand in the first 3 years of running it that weren't, we have to sell something because I'm broke.
Yeah.
I was never desperate. Yeah. I just got to do things I wanted to make.
And make it cool.
Yeah, and you know, one of the rules that we try to stick with the brand, you know, a censored version of it is it's either hell yeah or no. There's no middle ground. Mm-hmm. And you don't always get to make those decisions when you're drowning.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a guy and those bills have to be paid,
you got to do it.
Those bills got to be paid.
Yeah.
And that can get in the way of creativity. It can get in the way of being genuine.
Yeah, totally.
But I was fortunate in that, right? And so when I got fired, it was definitely the time to say, all right, pedal down. And I took job interviews and stuff like that because, I mean, you're a sales rep in that industry for 10 years. People are going to call.
Right.
But at that point, whenever people started calling, it was fun.
Yeah.
I had interviews and stuff like that, and people were like, you know, we've seen that you've worked I don't know whose accent this is, but we've seen that you've worked this just corporate guy.
It sounds like corporate guy.
Corporate guy.
I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. We've seen that you've worked in the industry for blah, 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 and you've had some success. You've come highly recommended. You know, we'd love to have a meeting with you. I'm like, yeah, that's great. You guys want to meet for lunch? And so I would go have a lunch with them.
Free lunch.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, whatever. A waste of my time, basically.
Yeah.
And just went in with, I don't need their job. I have a thing.
Yeah.
I have a thing that I love doing.
Yeah.
And as far as I was concerned, that if I'm going to work for you,
yeah,
you're going to pay me for this not to run.
Right.
Because I don't know that I'll have the time.
Right.
So you got to pay for that and pay for me to work for you.
So you got to pay a lot.
A ton.
Yeah.
Right? And so I would just look at people and give them an obnoxious number that whatever I felt, I gave them a number that if they came back with it, I go, well, all right, that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well,
yeah.
All right, I'll do that. I'll do that for 2 years until they fire me, and
I
I'll go
wouldn't
back to
expect
doing
that.
this, right?
Yeah.
Just because that's the way this goes. Because I didn't care about it, and had found a thing that I liked doing.
Yeah.
You know, that pushed me to be creative and think and problem solve. And so, you know, went into those meetings and you know, they'd be like, well, you know, do you have a resume? I'm like, no, I don't. I worked for the same people for 10 years, and you know who they are. And if that sheet of paper is the difference between you deciding to hire me for this amount of money or not, then I don't really want to work
there. Having this other thing change your confidence.
Just don't give a shit.
Wow.
Big guns. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the truth is I didn't want the job.
Right.
Right? I didn't want to do it.
Right.
It makes me want to do an interview just for fun now.
But you took the interview because you knew you kind of needed to, just in case.
Why not?
You know, yeah.
It's always worth the conversation.
Yeah, right.
You guys want to have me?
Right.
Here's the deal.
Right.
Do I think I'm worth to your company with that amount of money? No.
No. But if you'll
that's
pay me,
what it
I'll do
costs
it.
me.
Yeah, if you pay me, I'll do it.
That's what it costs.
Right.
Because I may not be able to travel and compete. I may not be able to do this other business. I may not have time to do these other things that I love. And now you got to pay me for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You got to pay me for that bit of my soul that I'm going to give you. And you know, when I got fired, there was also a really weird shift of, you know, perspective and stuff in my life of my income essentially got cut in half.
Right.
And that's a big change.
Yeah.
I don't care what the income is.
And no matter how well you've lived,
Right.
you know,
It's a big change.
It's a big change.
I didn't realize how much anxiety and how much I disliked the job I had until I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And my wife, you know, she's like, I've just never seen you happier than this. And I'm not a down guy.
Yeah. I've never seen you down.
Right.
Of course, you know, I see you at trade shows or
So of
course
course,
you're happy.
but this is me.
Yeah.
I don't really have another thing to fake.
Right.
I don't have a good enough memory to be a liar. and so, you know, it was this realization of like, I'm not sure my happiness is worth whatever this dollar amount is.
Right.
A lot of that, there was a weird spot. So if we go back again, so Hate Brand started at the end of 2014. I'd written a couple books, stuff like that, over the couple years before it as some advice from Wendler. You know, basically, I remember sitting down. He's like, "Anyone ever written a training manual for the Highland Games?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Are you gonna?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "If you don't, I'm gonna." And I was like, "Well, I will."
Yeah.
And did.
Yeah.
Didn't set the world on fire. You know, I didn't get to retire from it or anything like
Right.
that, but it's out there and still sells.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, it's good information. I'm proud of it. I don't need to write a second version of it because
Right.
none of it's wrong.
Right.
My old man passed away in April of 2014 and died at 62. I was 31. And I kind of had this feeling of, am I halfway, man?
Yeah.
Am I halfway there?
Yeah.
Wow. It's deep.
And I mean, chances are I'm not. I take care of myself. But I don't know. I could get hit by a car on the way back to your place
Right,
tonight.
yeah.
You know, I mean, that is a reality.
That's a very big reality
Yeah.
going to his house. Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, having that idea of like, now's the time, man.
Yeah.
Now's the time to act. Stop waiting for Monday or tomorrow or whatever this other thing is that you think exists. Now.
Nah.
Get moving. And that fire showed up and hasn't gone away. If I am still for too long, I get very anxious.
Oh yeah. Me too.
I just feel like time is wasting.
yeah.
And with that has come, you know, different ideas about stuff. Like how do you make the most of time? How do you slow things down? Because we all get really comfortable with routine. And the next thing you know, like, oh man, you know, the Arnold's here tomorrow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I look at different travels and stuff like that I've had that are, you know, life-changing and meaningful and experiences. And I think about 10 days that I spent last year in Iceland with some friends.
Right.
And I can talk for hours about being in Iceland and experiences and food and sights and landscapes and
Looks
all these
beautiful.
things, right?
I want to go for
I
sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you so much from those 10 days of my life. But I can't tell you a whole lot that happened in the 8 weeks I laid on my couch after surgery.
Yeah.
It's flatlined. There's no stimulation. There's nothing new. There's no new life experience.
Nah, I
It is
totally
just
get that. Yeah.
Groundhog's Day. It is doing time. You know?
Yeah.
And I just, for the life of me, man, for me personally, I just can't stomach the idea of being a guy that wakes up at 60 and said, I was 20 yesterday.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, I have never had a year of my life thus far that I would want to relive the previous year than the chance of what the next one brings. Keep going forward.
Yeah.
You know, and those chapters are going to change and shift. Look, I'm not an athlete anymore as far as a competitive athlete.
You moved pretty well last night.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
right. You know what I mean? But But I'm not the best in the world at a thing. And like I told you yesterday, the chances are I won't find another thing that I'm best in the world at other than being me.
Not many people find two things.
I am the best Matt Vincent.
Yeah.
And I know
You're really
actually
good at
3 or
that.
4 Matt Vincents, so
Yeah.
got him.
You're the sexiest one I know. And
I love this.
Yeah. So, it's the beard.
Yeah, it is.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you've had a lot of experience. You've had a lot of going forward, constantly getting better, constantly working on yourself. When you look back at what you've learned, maybe things that you made mistakes on, if you could do it again, what lessons would you have to give other people about mistakes that you've made or things that you wish maybe would have gone different?
You know, that's always a tricky one, right? Like, because I don't really believe in regret or any of those type of things. I believe that all the decisions and things that have led to get me here are what got me here.
Yeah.
Right.
Good, bad, or indifferent. There's definitely some stupid decisions we've made, but those are stupid decisions, right? I probably shouldn't have opened a bicycle shop at 22 and had $50,000 in debt that I had to pay back over the next 8 or 9 years.
It's fun to say that.
But I opened a business
Yeah.
and learned from it.
Yeah, you failed and you learn
that's
from
true.
it, and you won't make those mistakes
If,
again.
if you were giving someone advice, like if you were talking to maybe a 17-year-old out there, what advice would you have now that you've lived and maybe things that were the mistakes? I mean, not that a regret, but here's the advice of what you can do differently, learning from me.
I'd say do the darn same thing you've done. I mean,
Right.
that's what got
I
you
mean,
to-
but yeah, it is.
yeah,
Don't be scared of failure.
that's the key right there. Yeah.
Failure is a far better teacher than success has ever been.
Right.
You know, failure is a thing that if you listen to, you can grow from
Right.
and take that kick in the teeth and make adjustments.
Yeah.
Failure is what makes muscles stronger, is that it breaks it down so that it can rebuild better.
Right.
And that's no different than with your life. There's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be peaks and valleys. And I think a lot of people, and with the way society works right now, I think we're trying to eliminate failure to an extent. Like, people don't want to try because it won't be good. I mean, how many people have we seen that, like, oh, you know, like I entered a powerlifting meet and I did this, but I didn't even really train for it. Because if I say I didn't really train for it,
Then it's okay that I didn't win.
Yeah.
It's okay that
it's
I didn't
okay
win.
that I wasn't great.
Because I didn't try.
Right?
Yeah.
I hate that so bad.
There's also nothing wrong with the fact that I was aware when I did strongman that I was never going to be the best in the world at strongman. I enjoyed training for it. Winning's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not the only thing. Progress is the thing.
Right.
Right.
And like I'm not 6'10" and 440 pounds. Like,
Right.
I don't get to compete with Hapthor. You know, I was 290 at my best. Me pulling a double body weight deadlift, you know, it was still under 600.
Right.
And he pulls double body weight and it's 400 kilos. I lose.
Yeah.
You know,
Every
it's-
day.
Right. And so don't be scared of failure. Like, get out there, take some risk. But I mean, you can also make intelligent risk.
Yeah.
You know, you know, failures that aren't a life ruiner.
That is a key right there. It's like knowing that you can still bounce back. Like when I graduated college, I packed my car up and drove to Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And I had $200. It was like, I'm like, good luck. My mom was like, I'll see you in a month. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, probably. But
Probably.
I'm gonna try this thing.
But I'm not going to wake up at 40 and say, imagine if I would have done that.
And yeah, no, I went
Exactly.
and I did the thing and it worked. You know, I somehow
That pain of
figured it
regret.
out. Like, you know, like call it God, call it fate, but it worked. And like, I hope my son doesn't do that. But like, I hope that he takes chances. I hope that he takes educated. When I say he, I've got two and a daughter. But like, I guess, you know, you think the firstborn, I'm saying he. But like, I hope that he takes educated risk, a little bit more educated than that one, but like
But as a parent too, you also, because of the path that you've chosen, you realize that you can't protect him from failure.
no,
Right.
That's part of growing up. Getting hurt, failing, heartbroken.
yeah,
These are all things that you have to experience. We
Right.
can't just keep people in this
In a
bell curve,
box.
In a
right?
little bubble, man.
Yeah.
Of where the extremes don't exist.
they
Right.
exist.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people, it really bugs me out that right now we are participation trophies and we medicate
Oh,
people so that
stop,
we don't have
stop.
mood swings and
No, we're
these
not
other
doing
things,
that.
right?
No.
we need both ends of that spectrum.
Dang right. Part of being a parent is like when that
You
happens.
don't get greatness
is the
without
holding.
failure.
No.
Yeah. When Rock fails or Bear fails, I'm going to pick him up. He might be crying. I'm going to hug him and be like, cool,
Yeah.
what'd you learn? It's cool. It's fine.
Right.
It's not fine. I mean, you're not supposed to be happy that you lost. Let's figure out the cool part of the process and figure it out. What could you have done better? Let's try it again. Like, that's part of it. If you don't get that, like, you are setting your child, if that happened to you, or if you're doing that to your child, you're setting that child up for failure.
Right.
'Cause they've got to learn to bounce back because you're going to fail. I did not win every powerlifting competition I entered. I got beat.
Yep.
What did I do about it? Like, I tell you.
You got injured. You got you had to work hard to make financial ends meet. I mean, there were so many challenges you had to overcome.
The best thing that ever happened to me when I flew all the way to California. I was like the top guy, was picked to be the top dude there, and I bombed out. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was my first time ever. I was furious.
Yep.
I went straight to my room. I did not talk to anybody. I probably didn't talk to anyone for a week. And I just started designing my plan, And then later that year is when I broke the all-time world record. Mm-hmm. So, failure is good because I was not happy, but I wasn't going to be like make an excuse for getting beat. I didn't say, well, if I didn't train.
You mean you adapted instead of just doing again what didn't work?
Yeah, and making an
Weird.
excuse. It happened about 2 American Opens ago. One of our athletes won the American Open and beat a girl who was really good. And that girl got on and was talking about how, I was just training through this one. You weren't training through it. You could have done what you wanted. You're getting beat by this girl. Yeah.
It's okay.
And it's okay. Yeah.
Learn from it. Grow from it.
There's a reason we show up to compete.
And as
we
a
didn't
coach,
just mail in the numbers that we put up.
And when you let your as a coach, when you let your athlete say that, you're failing as a coach. And when you're saying that too, as her coach, you just failed twice now.
Right.
So I would never say that. If someone beats Nathan, congratulations,
dude.
man.
Expose your athletes' insecurities.
Yeah.
Make them deal with them and make them sort them out.
Right.
And make them get stronger.
Right.
That's our job as coaches because one day, like you found out and we found out, athletics is over.
Yeah.
And with athletics is over, we got to build better people.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Because they're not getting it elsewhere.
And that goes back to the social media and change in business. And this is from the athletic side of things that I want to talk to people about, and a lot, especially within like track and field. And that's my background, and that's where a lot of my heart still is. I love track.
I do too.
Stuff,
I love
right?
track and field too. Yes. Even though it wasn't my background, I just love it. Yeah.
It's so tricky to try to explain it to an athlete that, like, man, if you're chasing the Olympics, you're so singular focused because you have to be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this won't work.
Right.
But I'm also aware of the lifestyle that someone who's pursuing the Olympics has. You got a lot of free time.
Yeah.
If this is your job to pursue, you're not training 20 hours a day.
No.
You're not training 8.
No.
So
if
you
are, you're
right.
going to get hurt. But
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, why are you setting yourself up for the only thing of value that you bring to, say, your sponsors or that you bring is your total?
As a human, as you bring to the world.
Right,
man.
as your total.
Yeah.
Instead of, why don't you figure out in this time that you've got the light on you, how do we make it so that whenever I'm done throwing, I'm more valuable to Nike as a human than I was an athlete?
Like Michael Jordan is right now.
Right.
Yeah. So I told our 14-year-old giant that you saw, Morgan.
Yep.
I told him we're starting to have him write already and start making videos already and start developing a following already, and like not just a following to like look how cool I am, but here's who I am.
Right.
It's
who I am.
Here's what I'm doing. Coach Travis is doing this because of this and showing that he's learning through the process. Like I take pride in not just saying, hey, do this, but teaching my athletes. We had an athlete last night start. You saw is a young girl, brand new, and I'm teaching her all about physics, center of gravity. And she was digging that part of it.
Yeah, she was.
More than anything. I want my athletes to leave me better, like a D. Like she's
right.
Like Greg Knuckles. All these people who have come and gone, Jared Ennerton, John North, who now are like, changing the world.
Right.
That's what I want from them to get.
That to me is one of those big things that I look at as, whatever personal beliefs or whatever it is, right? I'm a guy that believes whenever the lights are cut out on me, my time's done. And immortality or whatever the afterlife is, immortality is the ripples that you leave in the people that are still there. And your message and influence and inspiration can be that. But if all you're going to give people is the X's and O's and the recipe and not why this works, and give them the whys so that they buy into the philosophy of it, then it dies with you.
Right.
And, you know, I loved seeing last night in the little time that I was here in the gym that you had athletes teaching new athletes that were coming in. That builds a bond, that builds this.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
This thing, right? There's this bit in our society that we've missed out, that this tribal bit.
Right.
And there are us that get into the gym and have this other family. I mean, that's why CrossFit succeeded.
Right.
It's the community. It's not the workouts.
Darn straight.
Yeah.
There's a vast difference as well between people who want to participate in CrossFit and then people who want to compete in CrossFit.
Right.
These are not the same things. People who want to participate in weightlifting and people who want to try to be the best in the world.
We have plenty of both on this team.
Yeah.
People who just want to hang out and like they want to lift and maybe they'll compete, but that's not the point. They just want to be a part of what we're doing.
A tribe,
Yeah.
a family,
Yeah.
people that you have a shared interest in that have your back simply because you have shared the sweat, the load, the time, the energy with.
I've got news for you. As a coach, like building this gym that Chris and I built brought me back to life. Like we had this little garage and we had our elites and we weren't really trying to bring in new people from the public. And it like I think my soul was slipping.
Well,
from
there's a
my
time where you're
body.
at capacity, right? Because
Yeah. I wanted this. I wanted like what we're getting, the new people. Yeah, we still have our, we have the best of the best, but we also have brand new. Like last night, there were 6 brand new weightlifters back here that I'm trying to teach, and my brain was so stimulated. I got home and my eyes were so big. And my life was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nah, nothing's
Just
wrong."
fired up.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
I taught 6 new people about something I love, about something I grew up thinking no one in the world cared about but me.
right.
Right.
My own mom is like, "Now, what are you doing to let me train someone?" My own
Who
mother.
are you telling?
Yeah.
Bench press, mom.
Right.
That's what
Here's who you telling?
that like bicep
I laugh
curls?
so much
Yeah.
about like how I would actually explain what I currently do for a living to
I love this.
what would have been my grandfather, who's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
who's passed away, but now would have been 90-plus-year-old human, right?
Yeah.
Let's say someone who lived through the Depression and World War II and worked 35 years at the same place to retire, right?
Not gonna get it.
Straight up old school.
Yeah. Even if they've tried to keep up.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know what I mean? Just such a different world. They're like, so what is it you do? I'm like, well, I own an apparel company. Like, oh, okay, so you got a store and like a place and people buy shirts from you. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Virtually.
It's all done online. Oh, okay. So they place an order and then you box and ship it. Well, not me. I don't box and ship it.
I got people.
I got a guy who does
I got
that
a guy.
in a place that I've never been.
What?
I've never been to where my inventory's held.
Your grandfather's gonna be like, "Boy, you're selling drugs." That's
This-
what you're
right,
saying.
Right. This is very confusing. Like I also
Are you on the pot?
Yeah.
I also make videos. I travel and make videos. Huh? For what?
Yeah.
For like a TV show? Nope.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Just put them out
YouTube's
there,
kind
right?
of a-
Some people watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid, and I would ask my dad, like, "Dad, what do you think I'm going to do when I grow up?" And he was like, "Honestly, what you're going to do when you grow up probably hasn't even been invented yet."
Right.
Oh wow.
He was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
Podcast.
Podcast and
Yeah.
ebooks.
Yeah, like
That-
what
that
what
wasn't
a
invented yet.
computer, and you get online and like you sell stuff and like you market. It's just
And like
it's a different world.
you shoot a podcast and that someone maybe in China might listen to it. Maybe not China, but like Japan
Sure.
might listen to it. I mean, like,
Hey, they speak English over there.
yeah,
Well,
but they're
that's
not
what the
allowed to
internet's
see
brought.
internet.
True. Yeah, that's right.
The internet has brought such an interesting ability now that you're given a worldwide audience on day one.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for a yellow page ad or film a commercial to go on TV spots that
No.
reach your local audience. Like, I don't have a local presence in Baton Rouge. It's not like Hate Brand's booming there.
I mean, we're fighting to get the logo. I mean, like,
Right.
here I am,
Yeah.
like, arguably, well, at least you have to say one of the best weightlifting coaches in America. I had 3 at the World Championships.
Yeah,
And in my own little town, I'm having to prove that.
of course.
Like, everyone else knows, but in my town, they're like, "No, you do who are you? Who are you?"
Yep.
But this dude at the CrossFit said he can teach the snatch. I'm like, no, he can't. You know, like, but like, yes, I have to prove it here locally.
Well, he's teaching with crayons, and I'm teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever you have access to the internet, instantly your audience base is worldwide, your customer base is worldwide, but your competitor base is worldwide.
Also, that's true.
And,
right?
and really, the only response you can reasonably have is to just be the best you can be, and not worry about your competition.
Stay in your lane.
If you try to think about this guy over here and this guy over here and this guy, you're going to go crazy. You can't do it. Just be the best you can be, and let them take care of themselves.
I'm going to tell you the coolest thing I've experienced in this whole thing is like, I'm 44. Chris is 45. He's older. Just
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're getting ready to be 45. You know?
Yeah. And then you'll be 46.
Shut
and
up.
Then here's the thing: is that I trained this kid in New Zealand. You know, Isaac Logan. And he competed at the youth world championships. Did really well. I coached a kid from New Zealand, and he went to the world championships from programming and from my.
We've got a team member from China.
You can video.
China.
You can live talk. We are in the future, man. You can live video with someone on the other side of the planet.
I've done it.
Yeah, man.
Like they're there.
And then here's another thing. I was at the World Championships, and there was a group. There was 3 girls there from Great Britain, who we're at the same table because we're eating. That's where they put all the athletes and coaches. They feed you, and we're eating. And then they started talking to me, and they're like, "Are you Coach Mash?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, we read all your books." I'm like,
No, man, it's very strange.
I'm like, if you guys only knew where I'm from, he does. But like, I'm from like a place that people don't go. Like, if you go there, you should turn around quickly.
Nice.
And
You're lost.
And here is these 3 people.
No one's vacationing where I'm from.
No, and that's where you go to get killed. So like,
you start hearing Deliverance in the background.
If I take you there, I'm taking you there because I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, we're getting rid of you.
And so, and then to hear these 3, women say people do your squat routines in England, and a lot of our team members use your programming. It was the most humbling moment of my life, and it was like no matter what, if I die broke, like I'm a poor mountain boy that people in England are buying my stuff and doing my program, and they're at the World Championships.
Right.
So people I never would have touched had it not been for the internet, and it's the most amazing moment.
Same exact boat, man.
If you'd have told me that when I was 10 years old, I'd have been like, you've been watching too much TV, is what I would have said.
Yeah, too much Star Trek. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have any – are you the type of person that just kind of thinks about being the best you can today, letting the future take care of itself, or do you have like specific goals and plans to reach those goals? And if so, I mean, what are the goals if you want to share?
I think you got to have both,
yeah.
Right? I think you need short-term, immediate move today, do stuff, and I think you've got to have a direction, right? Like what quote did I read that, a ship without a port in mind, all winds are wrong. And so you got to at least have a path.
Bro, where do you get all these sayings? Go ahead.
Yeah. He owns an apparel company.
I drive a lot. Yeah, I drive a lot, and I just have a meme generator that gives me quotes.
Bumper stickers while he's on the road.
You learn a new word every day. And so, that idea, right? And so for me, it's progress. And the other thing I think goal-wise is being realistic, that I want to do 25% more this year than we did last year, right, in gross sales.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, it gets weird looking at that when January 1 rolls over and it's, that's a 0 now for the year, instead of this big number that we've been chipping away at for 12 months. But if I look at it as a rolling 12 months, and as long as we do more that month than we did last year on that month, that's progress.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's those are the big type of goals, and then the other goals with the apparel thing is how do we continue to separate ourselves, making more unique apparel that's ours. And then, how do I branch that business into other things, with us starting a coffee company that we did last year, and now trying to figure out with the coffee company, how can I, because that is a totally different business, how do I get my coffee brand in local stores to where I live? I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
They buy coffee. I sell coffee. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Right? So a whole different ballgame there. But, the immediate goals are stay fired up. Don't get bogged down. Keep being inspired to want to do more, get around people that are smarter than me and learn and listen. And that's part of the conversations and stuff like that via the podcast or YouTube, is that I get to take these notes and be inspired from people from all different types of,
That's like
areas.
what we do all the time.
Yeah, yesterday we interviewed Brian Mann, and
he is
my
real
brain
smart.
lit
Dude,
up.
he is.
I sat in on a podcast with Brian Mann with John Wellborn. The two of those two talking together, I just kind of,
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. Just like,
Yeah.
I'll be back here, boys.
Yeah, it was. We thought it was going to be about velocity, which it was, but
Sure.
it totally went to like, I learned more about strength and conditioning in 1 hour than I have my whole life, and I spent my whole life, I was strength and conditioning way before weightlifting.
yeah.
Yep.
And like this dude just changed the way I look at everything.
Like his wrist was sore after all the notes, like furiously writing down.
It was
so many
crazy.
scribbles.
And for me, it's a new route with the podcast that I'm getting to talk to people like guests I've had on that are. I don't have a genre of people I'm interested in speaking to. The same as with, Hate Brand. I don't have any barbells on my T-shirts.
Right.
It ain't about that. It's about here. It's about the inner drive.
Right.
And that applies to anything. That stop making excuses and do.
Right.
And, on the podcast, I've had guys who've played in bands for 20 years. I've also have a guy who's a tattoo artist that I talk to. But these are people who still push themselves to be the best at their thing.
I totally
There's
agree.
no difference.
Yeah. We've had my best friend who's up for Entrepreneur of the Year, by the way. Like I just
KJ?
found out. Yeah, kid.
Oh, for real?
I posted on. Yeah,
Cool.
we both grew up in the mountains, poor. I've written about him, but he's in Texas, just killing it. Now he owns $100 million company, which blows me away. But it's still the same. When we get together, we're still willing to. We'll get in a
Right.
bar fight in a minute.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Lauren.
And then
Don't judge me.
you just toss a couple
Yeah.
of $100 bills on the guy and walk
Yeah.
away because like you got the money to do that.
Yeah, I know.
If you're
Well, he
KJ.
does. I'm
Yeah,
like,
if
you pay the man.
If you're
He's-
KJ,
yeah. But then
I'll have my people call you. Don't
We've
worry.
had my friend who's a congressman, Ted Budd. He's been on the show. Like, yeah, I'm with you. I like, of course, most people, we're the barbell lot, but
Sure.
like I'm interested in just people that are, getting after it. Like, my friend who went from 0 to 100. The congressman who from small town North Carolina, he's up in D.C. battling these people. I'm like, it's just cool to watch people, do their thing in life.
Well, there's so many different routes to success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the weird spot about it is, as much as I've seen and different people that are more successful than me that I try to hang out with, I like being the least successful guy in my group of friends. Makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Being around that, like, there isn't a guaranteed path to success. I can't give you the blueprint. I can't give you a recipe to success, but I can give you one to failure.
Right.
I can give you 100% chance of failure.
Yeah, don't do it.
Right? Don't do anything. Just
Yeah.
sit and
Yeah.
do exactly what you're doing.
And you have failed. Good job.
Play video
Just keep
games.
smashing your face into that wall, man.
Yeah.
Works great.
We should write a book, How to Fail One Piece of Paper, one sentence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do anything.
Do nothing.
Yeah,
Bam.
congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, but it's guys like that prove it can be done. And if it can be done, then you can do it.
Right.
And I think that there's a shift, too, with the social media, and at least for what I believe to be, kind of this switched-on crowd that I'm trying to interact with, guys like you and, Kelly Starrett and Mark Bell, these other people, that you're not a competitor of mine.
Right.
You sell shirts. Awesome.
I mean,
Or,
ish.
or even Chrissy May, right? Yeah. Chrissy May's one of my best friends on the planet and does exactly what I do.
Right.
Owns an apparel company.
Right.
Has some other branches and different things, but that's what we do. We both
Right.
do that. There's not X amount of success out there that we're sharing. We can both have it.
Right. And do.
Right. And, because she sold 10 shirts doesn't mean I only get to sell 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Maybe people have more than one shirt in their closet.
I mean, the
It's
guys
a
that-
possibility.
the guys at Barbell Shrug, like, they're our direct competitors, and they're my best of friends.
Yeah.
Talk to Doug Larson, Andy Galpin all the time.
Yeah, Andy's awesome.
I mean, obviously, I'm a huge fan. He's like my go-to dude for research. I try to we try to take our programming based on his feedback from the
Smart.
research he's getting. So there's so many people out there, and you don't,
Right.
yeah, and we seem to, they'll attract a certain audience, and I will, people attract me for certain reasons, people are attracted to them for certain reasons. We can still
More
be
good
friends.
information is better.
Yeah, totally,
That's
man.
it. People
Totally.
can decipher and figure out what works for you. And the further you get along, and whether that's training or life or any of that, the further you're up the mountain, the less peaks there are.
Right.
And there's less people there. So you got to search out other people on peaks and stuff like that to get more from them. And with that climb, like the more that I'm doing things and listen and look at someone's training philosophy or an idea or come to a gym, and after 20 years of being here, if I spent a week training with you, right, there's going to be a ton of stuff that you're doing that I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I know that. But if I picked up 2 things that are brand new to me,
Well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
holy, I learned 2 new things that I didn't know before that now aid me in my journey. Like,
And just do that again and again and again and again.
but don't discredit because there were 12 or 20 things that maybe didn't work for you
Right.
with 2 that did.
That brings me, like Louis Simmons. A lot of people, don't like him. But, like, if you go to that guy and you don't learn anything, you don't have ears.
Right.
You weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
And
you
like-
chose to shut down.
And, like, I understand why, I have my friends, when we go to, like, the World Championships, there's a group of coaches, we all hang out, and most of them hate him. And, like, so, when we're hanging out.
How exhausting that must
I
be.
know. We're at the Worlds. I'm like, why do y'all hate him? And he's abrasive because he's called them all out, individually.
But he's a crazy person.
I know. I'm like, he used to.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not mad at the guy. Like,
Yeah.
there's a very, very little difference between Louis being successful doing the things Louis does and Louis being homeless.
Right.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's not a big gap in that level of crazy genius because it's that Louis is that weird PhD level of genius, right?
Yeah.
That, like, he's very, very good at this.
Right.
This is not the guy who's going to remember that, oh, the truck needed to be washed.
No.
It just never registers as a thing.
No.
Well, this is the same shirt I've worn for a week.
No.
Well, it was there.
No,
I
but
put
it
it
will
on. I
register.
needed a
Chuck
shirt.
Vogelpool, squatted 900 3 times for 10 sets. He
Right.
will remember that.
Remember that.
Right.
But
But
like,
97%, we made this type of progress over the course of 3 weeks.
Yes.
I know.
I remember every bit of that.
My
Yep.
point being, and what I'm trying to bring it back to is that like when you come in contact with someone, there is so much to learn from so many people. And to somebody maybe says something like use bands with snatch and clean and jerk. Maybe you think that's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, I do too. But like, does that mean you can't learn anything from that person? Mm-hmm. No, man. That, like, I guarantee every system has something from Louis, whether they like him or not.
Right.
Like there's.
Oh, you mean you changed your accessory work from bands
there
to
you go.
chains?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Did you
that's
did
Louis.
you target your weaknesses with accessory work?
Right.
Do
Louis.
do you push this prowler? Do you do GPP? Like, and if you're not doing anything that he talks about, then I don't know what you're doing because he talks about everything. So like,
And there's something to be remembered as well with there's something to being the guy who can figure out how to translate information so that people get it.
right.
I mean, did Louis invent any crazy training ideas?
He didn't even any of that. He just
Right.
told
He,
us.
he applied it.
He
The same-
applied it and brought it to the forefront, so we all knew how to
Yeah.
I
do
mean,
it.
did Windler invent sets of 5s and 3? No, they've existed forever.
No.
But
Yeah.
he wrote the book. He's not the guy sitting around saying like, "Well, I could have wrote 5-3-1." Guess what? You didn't.
He did.
You didn't.
Yeah.
I sat down and I put my
wrote
energy
it.
into paper and I wrote it.
And I put it out there and people bought it.
And not only that, I wrote it in a way that translated. And I think a lot of people screw this up. Is realize who your audience is when you're writing programs or you're trying to influence and do stuff. Like, my target audience for videos or information or inspiration isn't you. You get it.
Yeah.
We're both in the same boat.
Yeah.
You're doing your thing and you're fired up, and we get to share some cool common ground and do things.
Right.
You're always talking to the beginner,
Right.
right? And so you're if you think that the other guys who've lifted for 20 years need your program and you're writing for them, you're writing for the wrong audience.
Right.
It's going to fall on deaf ears, and that was your mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a skill to learn how to translate complicated information to someone who can get up day one and do it.
Right.
Well, it's awesome, Matt. It is. It's been has flown by. Like we've been talking for a really
It does,
long time.
yeah.
But it's been awesome, and we could talk for another couple hours. But I guess for people listening who aren't familiar with Hate Brand or you, where can people go to find more about you and all the crazy things you do?
So Hate Brand is spelled HVIII, so it's H with a Roman numeral 8. Super complicated. Thehate.com, you know, it's weird that it's worked out.
Yeah.
So thehate.com is where all the apparel is. I'm easy to find on YouTube at Matthew Vincent or Matt Vincent. Is a pretty easy search. And then I hate Matt Vincent on Instagram and Hate Brand Goods there.
Funny.
So
Go to leanfitnesssystems.com.
and the podcast is
For Chris, yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Chris, Lean Fitness Systems.
Yeah, leanfitnesssystems.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Instagram at Chris Oxmason. Make it
Cool.
simple.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thanks.
Oh, cheers.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, thanks to Matt for being on with us. We could have talked for another hour easily, and well, hint, hint, maybe we've got another podcast with him in the works, so stay tuned. If you want to check out more podcasts, you want to check out some free articles, we've got those for you over at our website. We've also got ebooks and coaching for you there as well. That's all over at mashelite.com. That's mashelite.com. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Fatality.
Hey guys, now do me a favor. Go subscribe to our channel, like our videos, comment. I promise you if you comment, I'll get back to you and answer all your questions. Thanks for watching.